Hey everybody, this is Professor Johnson. This is the first part of a two-part video about how to create a drawing in PowerPoint and then insert that drawing into Microsoft Word. We're going to be doing this using the drawing, a customer benefit package illustration that we need for our operations management case study. But you can obviously use this for making any sort of drawing as an insert into Microsoft Word. Also, as an FYI, I'm using Office 2010 here in this video. If you're using Office 2013 or Office 365, your interface is going to look a little bit different, but the basic functionality is the same. Okay, so let's get started with doing our drawing in PowerPoint. So I have PowerPoint open already for our title slide, so I'm just going to create another slide here. So I'm going to go up to New Slide, click on that, and we have a new slide. You can see the standard sort of template came up for a slide in the body of a presentation. I don't need that. I just want a blank piece of paper, so I'm going to go to Layout, select Blank, and there we go. We've got a nice blank piece of paper. So the first thing I want to do in my customer benefit package is create that primary good or service. So I'm clicking on the circle tool or the oval tool. Create a nice size circle in the middle of my paper. And let's see, I'm going to try to center that as best I can. Looks like that's pretty close. Inch it up a little bit. There we go. So our circle's in the center of our paper. And now I just need to put some text in here, right, to indicate it's the primary good or service. You'll be, instead of, I'm just going to type the titles in here in each of these circles, you'll actually put what is your primary good or your peripheral good or service or variance in these geometric figures. But I'm just going to type the title in for our purposes today. So I can do that by actually turning this circle into a text box. So I've already have the circle selected. So I'm going to, while I have the circle selected, I'm going to click on text box here and then go click inside the circle, and automatically the circle has been turned into a text box. So I'm going to label this primary good slash service, and there we go. We have our primary good service circle ready to go. Except that I want this to be just a basic black and white drawing. So this will vary depending on how your defaults are set up in PowerPoint, but mine are set up this way. So I'm going to change this to just a plain black and white drawing using Times New Roman font like we have in our paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the circle color here. So I'm going to go up to Shape Fill and select No Fill. There we go. Then I'm going to go to Shape Outline and select black as the outline color. And finally, I'm going to make the weight of the line a little bit thinner. It doesn't need to be quite so bold, so I'm going to change that to 1 point. And there we go. We've got a simple black and white circle, but our text has disappeared, right? Because now it's white on white. So I'm going to select the full circle here. So you can see it's not a dotted line anymore. I'm going to select the full circle, go up to my font color, and it already happens to be indicated as black. If it wasn't, I would pull it down. Select black. There we go. Now all that's left is to change that into Times New Roman. So I'm going to go up to my font styles, select Times New Roman, and we've got it. You can see that the font size is 18. That's fine because when we insert this drawing into our paper, the drawing is going to be a bit smaller, and 18 works out pretty well to equate to 12 point once we actually get it into our paper. So here we have our primary good and service circle and in a nice black and white drawing using the font style that we wanted. So I'm going to, rather than recreate a bunch of circles going through the process we just went through, I'm going to copy this circle and then paste it and alter it a little bit for my peripheral goods and services circles. So I already have this selected. So now I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut to copy. You can use a pull-down menu if you like, but I've just copied it. Now I'm going to paste it using, again, a keyboard shortcut. Again, you can use the menu options as you prefer. So now I'm going to grab the circle, pull it outside of my primary good goods and services circle, and we're getting close. We already almost have a circle for our peripheral goods and services. But as you'll remember in our illustration from our text, those circles are smaller. So I'm going to grab the corner here, shrink this circle down, try to retain the circle shape as best I can rather than turning it into an oval. Now I'm going to grab it, pull it out a little bit, because I just want it to touch my primary good and service circle. And deselect it for a minute. And that's not a bad size. You might want to make it a little smaller, depending on how many peripheral goods and services you have. But this isn't a bad size. So we'll leave it there. You can see that because the circle is smaller and the font size is the same, that it's broken this word up a little bit. Since this is a hyphenated or a word divided by a slash, I can just put a space in here and that'll drop it to the next line. So that works out just fine. I'm going to relabel this, right, because it's not my primary good or service. This is a peripheral good / service. Again, you'll put in your actual peripheral good or service here in the circle. I'm just using titles. And now we have our standard circle for our peripheral service. So now I have a couple of more peripheral services. You probably will as well. So I'm going to again use a keyboard shortcut to copy this. And then I'll paste it a couple of times, again using keyboard shortcuts. Take this one and drag it over here. I'm going to select that one. Drag it up here. And now we have several peripheral goods and services. I can change these to whatever I want. This is going to be number 2. You won't be numbering yours. You'll just, again, put in the actual peripheral good or service that you've got. But there we go. I've got a primary good and service. I have my peripheral goods and services all here. And now I just need to add a variant. And remember, variants are illustrated using triangles. So I'm going to go back up to my tools here, drawing tools, select triangle. I'm going to draw a triangle, nice equilateral triangle as best I can. And I also want to turn this into a text box. So with the triangle selected, I'm going to go up to text box and click in the triangle. And you can see we've got our variant. So once again, I want to turn this into a black and white drawing using 12-point font Times New Roman. So I'll select the whole thing. I'm going to go up to Shape Fill, go to No Fill again, go to Shape Outline, select black, go back to Shape Outline and Weight, select 1. And again, we've got white on white here in the font, so I'm going to select black for my font. That shows up again. I'm going to go now to Font Style, select Times New Roman, and we're good. So now, remember in our illustration, we want the triangle to be touching, just touching the edge of our circle. So you can do a couple of neat things with this. I'm going to first rotate the triangle so it's going to intersect or touch the circle in relatively perpendicular fashion when we get it there. So there we go. And now we have our variant. You can see, because I turned the triangle into a text box, that the orientation of the text will remain consistent with however I spin that triangle around. In this particular application, that's fine. But let's say I was going to put that variant down here and twist this around some more. All of a sudden that starts to get a little bit funky and hard to read, right? So we can leave it that way, but again, that gets a little bit hard to read. I'm going to show you one more option for how to create a variant triangle with a text box that will allow you to keep the text a little more readable, same orientation as the rest of the text in your illustration. So to do that, we're going to select the triangle once again. There we go. I'll make it bigger. I'm going to move it over so it's just touching our circle. I'm going to change that once again into a black and white figure, so no fill. Change it to black. Change it to weight to 1 point. And instead of turning the triangle into a text box, I'm going to go up here and click on text box. Just Put a text box anywhere to get started. Type in variant. Again, I'm going to change that to Times New Roman. And then just slide that down and put it anywhere I want into the triangle. So now, no matter where I move that triangle, I can keep my text on the same plane as the rest of the text. So that is it. That is how to do our drawing. Now let's quickly save this. So we're going to save our drawing first as a PowerPoint illustration, and I've already done that, labeling it CBP, or Customer Benefit Package. So that's a standard save technique. But now I want to save it as an image, because that's going to insert better into my Word document. So I'm going to save as, and instead of just saving it as a PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to go down and save it as a JPEG. You could also save it as a PNG or a TIFF or a GIF. JPEG seems to work best for me in my experience, so I'm going to save it as a JPEG. And it's going to ask me if I did a test here, so I'm going to replace that one. And it's going to ask me one other thing here. Do you want to export every slide in the presentation or only the current slide? For my situation here, I just need the current slide, so I'm just going to select that. If you select every slide, it'll create a file with individual slides for your individual pictures. So I'm going to save the current slide only. And now I have my current slide saved as a JPEG. So that's it for how you create your drawing in PowerPoint. In the next video, we will show you how to insert this drawing into your Microsoft Word document.